In terms of the lawyering, I'm really grieving what's happened to me. I'm very sad about what I've done because I
Do you
look
feel
at it.
guilty?
I do feel guilt. I feel a lot of guilt. I feel guilt towards my wife, my family. I feel guilt to the wonderful lawyers down there that I worked with before I left and all the staff because when I left, I did so abruptly. I called a meeting with the lawyers at Ward's Lawyers and I said, look, everybody, here's what's going on. I haven't told you. And that's not the worst part. I have to leave and I have to leave now. And I felt horrible about doing that to my colleagues and friends. And I also feel that, I'm trying to reconcile in my mind what's happened to me because on the one hand, you've got a person who's, professionally successful, lots of money, designated as a specialist by the Law Society of Ontario, had this, second largest firm in Ontario, had everything, as you say, a lovely family. And I just walked away from it. I walked away from all of that. And it's still hard for me to reconcile in my mind, did I really have to do that? Is there something I could have done more that I didn't do that would have allowed me to stay? And like I said, there wasn't. I couldn't find any that didn't exist for me. I had to walk away, or bad things would really start to happen to me. When I left my professional practice as a lawyer, I thought to myself, wait a minute, you've acquired a good skill set in your life, in your education, and your professional career. You've learned to do some things that are of value that can help others. And why don't you, stop doing law? You won't have all that stress. You won't feel that sickness when you get those emails, and go apply your skill set in the mayor's office and be successful and be able to achieve your goals. And that was my plan. I said, oh, that sounds logical to me. I'll just stop being a lawyer and I'll put on a mayor hat instead of lawyer hat and everything will be fine. And it wasn't until I was in rehab and the people there helped break things down for me into real simplicity that I realized you're just transferring your mental health issues from one job to another. And until you're able to manage your mental health issues better and your consequential addictions, it's going to be the exact same thing if you were to become mayor, right? It'll be the pursuit of perfection. It's never good enough. More. Can never satisfy myself. Always must win. That'll affect you as a mayor just as much as it did a lawyer. So you'll probably get worse instead of better. And as a result of that, I withdrew from the mayoral race.
What about your kids? Do you ever worry about them and not only how what's happened to you will impact them, but now realizing, I guess this is a two-pronged question, the addictiveness of marijuana and the fact that it's legal and what happened to you and how easy it is to become addicted. Does that worry you?
Yeah, it never did until I became a marijuana user. I never understood or appreciated what legalizing the use of it meant for people in the community and around me. Now I do. And now I'm quite concerned about not only my children being exposed to marijuana and using it and not being able to manage it, but all the other kids in the community, all the kids of my friends and everybody else. It is an addictive substance and it got out of control for me and quickly. And it didn't take long. And nobody ever questioned me. I'd be up there once a day at the cannabis store ordering a bottle every day. And no one said to me, you can only buy so much of this, or you've got to go see a doctor before we'll give you any more. Nobody said anything like that. And I just kept going and going and going, unregulated and unwatched. And I don't, that worries me generally.
Or what would you like to see done in order to mitigate some of that?
Well, firstly, and I do think our public school system and our Catholic system are doing a reasonably good job at educating children about drugs and the risks of drug use. I also think alcohol use is part of that mandate now. So my kids come home with a much better education about drugs and alcohol than I ever did when I went to school. And they are aware of the risks. So they have a general understanding of that much better than I ever did. But absolutely, in a perfect world, we would better regulate people being able to go in and buy limitless amount of legalized drugs, because they cause damage, and there's no limit to what damage they can cause. And alcohol is the same issue. Alcohol for me got very out of control very quickly, and it was not something that was in my life before.
I want to go back to that because I find that fascinating. Because most people do their binge drinking. If they have a problem with alcohol, it's when they're younger, and when they get older, they kind of grow out of it or whatever, mature out of it, I guess. Yeah. But you didn't drink much at all when you were younger.
No.
And then all of a sudden, you did, and it became a problem. Why do you think that, as a young person, you didn't have that problem?
I think I think internally it may be that I was aware. If I started using alcohol, there was a potential risk for me, because I knew about myself that I had that overachieving need to be successful or to win. And so maybe subconsciously it was the reason I was adverse to alcohol. But, even on vacations throughout most of my life, I would say, no, I prefer not to drink. No, it helped that my kids were littler and I had more responsibility as a parent, because by the time my mid-40s rolled around, my kids were older, and I had the luxury of not driving at night to multiple activities.
Right.
Or, the kinds of things parents need to do without alcohol, I wasn't doing anymore. I had passed that stage. So my life events, it was a confluence of a perfect storm, fueled by my mental health issues that I didn't realize I was having. That one drink for me, and I remember the drink exactly. It's amazing. I can remember the circumstances vividly, and that just opened up a new world to me. And I was a slave to that world thereafter.
So what's next for you?
Right now, I'm out looking for opportunities to, and I know it'll sound trite to say this, but I really and truly do want to do things to give back to the community. I mean, this has really been a community that's been so good to me and my family over the years that I really want to start doing things in the community to make it a better place. So I've done some things, like I've joined the Canadian Mental Health Association board, which I'm looking forward to doing, and some initiatives there. I've decided to speak a lot publicly about my story and my experience, and I'm hoping that leads to more opportunity to help not reduce the stigma, but help others just realize, hey, you know what, maybe I should talk to somebody about that. Or I'm glad you spoke up, because, that's something I need to do too.